Picture, if you will, a quiet revolution taking root beneath the skin of society. In recent years, the use of microchip implants has surged from science fiction to tangible reality, finding its most fertile ground in Sweden. There, a silent army of over 3,000 pioneers has chosen to embed a tiny chip, no larger than a grain of rice, beneath their skin. With a mere wave of a hand, they can now make payments, rendering physical cards and cash obsolete. Governments and tech visionaries champion this innovation as the inevitable future of transactions, painting a vision of a seamless, hyper-efficient system destined to become the global standard. Some officials have even hinted that participation may one day shift from choice to requirement, a necessary step to cement our place in a fully cashless, digitally connected world. Yet, for every voice praising this progress, another rises in fierce opposition, echoing with profound anxieties over privacy, state control, and the specter of systemic abuse. The siren song of this technology is its promise of radical simplicity. Imagine a life unburdened by wallets or forgotten passwords, where your essential data is stored within you. A single, effortless gesture could pay for your coffee, unlock your front door, or board your train. In Sweden, early adopters move through their days with this quiet efficiency, seeing themselves as vanguards of more advanced society. The potential extends even to the sanctum of medicine. The FDA has already approved these chips to store medical records. In a critical emergency, a scanner could reveal a patient's entire health history, their medications, their allergies, a digital guardian angel that could mean the difference between life and death. But beneath this glossy surface of convenience, a deep and growing dread persists. The most chilling fear is that of a panopticon, a world of perpetual surveillance. While proponents swiftly note the chips lack GPS, skeptics hear a haunting echo of not yet. They envision a future where governments or corporations gain the power to track a person's every movement in real time, all without their knowledge or consent. This is a core terror, that this technology could become the ultimate tool of population control, ushering in an era where the very concept of privacy is extinguished. Then comes the threat of the invisible enemy, the hacker. In our age of sophisticated cyber attacks, an implantable chip presents a uniquely vulnerable target. If it holds your financial, medical, and identity data, it becomes a treasure trove for digital thieves. A compromised credit card can be canceled. A chip embedded in your flesh is a permanent vulnerability, a breach that cannot be easily sealed or removed. The thought of a criminal having a direct line into someone's life through their own body is a uniquely intimate violation. Beyond privacy and security lies the ultimate fear, the erosion of personal freedom. Critics warn of a slippery slope where the chip becomes mandatory. As governments and corporations phase out cash and traditional IDs, those who refuse to comply could find themselves exiled from society, unable to buy food, access health care, or enter public spaces. This dystopian scenario forces us to confront alarming ethical questions about bodily autonomy and the right to refuse technology that feels like an invasion. The shadow of corporate influence looms large. Tech giants, already deeply invested in digital payments and biometrics, are the logical architects of this next step. If a corporation controls a chip in your body, it could dictate what information it holds, how it is used, and who can access it. This represents a dangerous new frontier where human beings become mere nodes in a digital network, governed by private entities with their own profit-driven agendas. For many, the resistance is not just practical, but profoundly spiritual. Religious and philosophical groups see the implantation of technology as a violation of the human essence, a dangerous overreach of science. They hear echoes of prophetic warnings from ancient texts, of a world where people are marked and controlled, their very bodies bearing the seal of a system they cannot escape. Despite this chorus of concern, the march of progress continues unabated. The transition to a cashless world is already well underway, with digital payments, facial recognition, and biometrics becoming commonplace. Proponents frame the microchip as the next logical, inevitable step, but unlike a phone you can set down or a card you can cut up, this is a decision etched into your very flesh. The debate is far from over. To some, this is a gleaming future. To others, a high-tech trap. The warning is clear. Once society becomes dependent on implanted technology, reversing course may be impossible. What begins as a tool of convenience could morph into an instrument of control, dictating access to essential services and defining the very boundaries of our freedom. It is this very trajectory and the way governments have accelerated in recent years that has seeded a pervasive unease about our collective future. We are living in an age of unprecedented observation. Where once privacy could be found in the quiet corners of life, today's technology leaves no shadow unilluminated. Our smartphones, security cameras, and AI algorithms ceaselessly collect data, building intricate digital profiles of our lives. Authorities claim this is for our security and convenience, but a growing number of people feel it is really about control. Every search, every purchase, every conversation is logged, creating a permanent record that can be sold, accessed, or weaponized. The infrastructure for this new world is already being woven into the fabric of our daily lives. Radio frequency identification chips are hidden in our passports, credit cards, and even our pets. These seem like harmless conveniences, but the next step, implanting them in humans, has ignited a firestorm of debate. The concern transcends simple tracking. A microchip once implanted is a permanent fixture, raising terrifying questions about who owns the data within and how it might be used tomorrow. The potential for abuse is vast, and history is a grim lesson in what happens when powerful institutions gain unchecked access to personal information. Many fear a future where participation is coerced. Today, we can still choose cash, physical keys, and traditional IDs. But there's a palpable dread that these alternatives are living on borrowed time. As governments worldwide push for digital ID systems, the logical endpoint appears to be a mandatory link to an implanted chip. Refusal could mean exile, being locked out of banking, healthcare, and the ability to work. The terror of being made a non-person for rejecting a piece of technology is a powerful motivator for resistance. Adding another layer to the surveillance panopticon is the rapid normalization of facial recognition. Once the stuff of sci-fi, it now watches us in airports, malls, and public streets. While sold as a crime-fighting tool, critics see it for what it has become in some nations, an instrument for mass surveillance, social control, and the punishment of dissent. The knowledge that your every public movement is recorded and analyzed creates a chilling effect, a society where freedom is quietly suffocated. The push for a fully digital existence doesn't stop there. The concept of a centralized digital ID, which would fuse your medical, financial, and social data into a single profile, promises simplicity at the cost of absolute control. In such a system, your access to the very basics of life could be switched off with a keystroke. Those who voice unpopular opinions or challenge authority could find themselves digitally erased, unable to travel, bank, or receive medical care. The war on cash is the final piece of this puzzle. Physical currency is the last bastion of anonymous transaction. In a fully cashless society, every purchase is tracked, every financial secret laid bare. This erosion of financial privacy is a direct assault on personal autonomy. And then, the scene shifts from the micro world under our skin to the macro world above. A newly surfaced satellite image has sent shockwaves through intelligence and UFO research circles. It reveals a mysterious, egg-shaped UFO resting at a highly classified military site in India, home to the Defense Research and Development Organization, the nation's equivalent of the Pentagon's DARPA. The object was captured just outside a military hangar, as if frozen in the act of being moved or stored the very moment the satellites I passed overhead. Measuring 7 meters or 22 feet, this perfectly smooth, enigmatic craft has ignited a global firestorm of speculation. Is it a recovered extraterrestrial vehicle or an advanced human-made prototype? So radical it defies recognition. The DRDO is a guardian of India's most secretive defense projects, from missile systems to advanced robotics. For an object of such bizarre design to appear in the open at a facility of this caliber is deeply significant. If this were a standard, classified project, why was it exposed, seemingly vulnerable to satellite observation? Some analysts suggest a routine movement, a fleeting moment of exposure. Others believe it was a rare mistake, a curtain pulled back for a single, revealing second. The craft's ovular form is itself a clue. Similar egg or oval-shaped UFOs have been consistently reported near military and nuclear sites across the globe, in the skies over the United States, Russia, and China. Its appearance in India suggests this is not an isolated phenomenon, but part of a global pattern. pointing either to persistent non-human observation or a secret, shared technological leap among world powers. India has rarely been a focal point in public UFO discourse, yet sightings have persisted in its remote regions, often near sensitive installations. If this object is non-human, its presence at a top-tier defense lab implies India may be engaged in retrieval and analysis efforts akin to those long rumored in other nations. The theory is that India, like other superpowers, could be attempting to reverse engineer otherworldly technology for its own aerospace dominance. Most striking is what the object lacks: any visible means of propulsion. No exhaust ports, no wings, no control surfaces. It is a seamless, enigmatic shell. This aligns perfectly with countless pilot and radar reports of UFOs that maneuver in ways that scoff at known physics. If India possesses such an object, it could signify a breakthrough in anti-gravity or propulsion systems that belong to the next century. The location itself is a statement. This was no accident. Some researchers posit a deliberate leak, a controlled disclosure from within the defense establishment, allowing the object to be seen to slowly acclimatize the public to a staggering new reality. The alternative, that it is a domestic aerospace project, is equally profound. If human-made, it represents a form of technology so advanced it has no peer in the public domain. As the world watches, the silence from official channels is deafening. It only fuels the speculation that this object is something extraordinary, something that defies conventional explanation. This single, clear satellite image has reignited the ultimate conversation, forcing us to look up at the skies and wonder, what else is out there, and who else is already studying it? The plot thickened with a thunderclap from our television screens. A newly released video, aired on television for the first time, has cleaved the internet in two. It purportedly shows an egg-shaped craft being recovered in a UAP retrieval operation. The footage, now seared into the public consciousness, is being hailed as one of the clearest evidence of the phenomenon. According to reports, the craft measures about 20 feet and bears a stunning resemblance to the Tic Tac UAP encountered by the U.S. Navy in 2015. The connection is undeniable, suggesting a common origin and design that is emphatically not of this world. The online reaction has been a digital battlefield. Believers see final, undeniable proof. Skeptics scramble for conventional explanations, a stage scene, an experimental drone, an elaborate hoax. But the video itself is relentlessly compelling. The object is completely smooth, devoid of seams, wings, or any visible propulsion. It is a perfect, solid enigma, exactly as pilots have described for decades. The recovery operation itself is a scene from a thriller. Sources suggest a remote location, a heavy security cordon, a military-scale effort to secure the object. This implies a long-standing clandestine project to retrieve and study these crafts. How much, the public wonders, has been hidden from us? The parallels to past encounters are the most chilling part of the evidence. The 2015 Tic Tac was reported by highly trained Navy pilots who watched it perform maneuvers impossible for any known aircraft. This newly revealed craft appears to be its twin. The implication is a persistent, ongoing presence of these objects, observed and tracked by multiple military branches, and now, allegedly, being physically collected. Despite the compelling nature of the footage, division remains. Yet, the ground has fundamentally shifted. The government itself has acknowledged UAPs and admitted that some defy all explanation. The recent release of classified footage and testimony from credible officials has shattered the old stigma. Those who were once dismissed as conspiracy theorists now ask urgent questions that demand answers. This video is different. It doesn't show a distant light in the sky. It shows a craft on the ground in human hands. If authentic, it is not merely a sighting, it is a possession. It is one of the most significant leaks in history, a potential key to unlocking a mystery that has haunted humanity for generations. The theories of its origin are as vast as the cosmos itself. Extraterrestrial visitors? A breakaway human civilization wielding technology centuries ahead of our own? The debate rages, but the evidence is mounting. Social media is alight with demands for transparency, for the truth. The public feels a right to know what these objects are, who is behind them, and why they are here. For decades, the subject was met with ridicule. Now, the laughter has died away, replaced by a sober, global realization that we are not alone, whether in the universe or in the secret, advanced laboratories of our own world. The curtain is being pulled back, one shocking image, one leak video at a time. The skies over Denmark have ignited. In the span of a few short hours, a deluge of reports has cascaded in not only from the Danish heartland, but from neighboring nations, all describing unidentified aerial phenomena that mock conventional explanation. What began as fragmented accounts of impossible lights has detonated into a firestorm of global speculation, with photographs and videos saturating social media and overwhelming dedicated investigation forums. Among this digital torrent, 2 images, recently unleashed upon Facebook communities devoted to unexplained aerial events, have seized the world's attention. Enthusiasts are heralding them as potentially the most lucid photographs ever to accompany such a mystery. The images are staggering. They depict a colossal, triangular-shaped craft, its geometry sharp and sinister, dwarfing any known civilian drone or traditional aircraft. Along its underside, an array of brilliant, glowing lights burns against the night, a constellation of unknown purpose. The structure's stark symmetry and immense scale are captured with a crisp, unnerving clarity that has left veteran analysts and casual observers alike in a state of profound astonishment. For a community long accustomed to grainy, ambiguous blurs, these pictures feel like a rupture, a breakthrough in documenting this escalating wave of sightings. As the phenomenon intensifies, the witness accounts paint a chaotic tapestry. Some describe glowing orbs that slice across the heavens with rapid, unpredictable jolts. Others speak of steady, emerald green lights hanging in the darkness, casting eerie patterns over both city and countryside. A persistent contingent insists on seeing vast, dark objects hovering in utter silence, their forms blending with the night until betrayed by their own radiant, internal illumination. This very inconsistency sows confusion, as conflicting details muddy the investigative waters. Yet the sheer, overwhelming volume of testimony screams a single, undeniable truth. Something extraordinary is unfolding in the air above. The conversation crackles with electric speculation. Some voices propose advanced, classified aerial technology, clandestine tests, or probing operations by foreign powers. Others lean into the extraterrestrial, noting that the iconic triangular form and luminous arrays are etched into UFO lore dating back decades. A more cynical warning also echoes that misinformation is already being seeded, with contradictory descriptions of orbs, green lights, and dark triangles deliberately designed to sow doubt and prevent the public from piecing together a coherent narrative. Photographs of this caliber are the holy grail of UFO research. For years, the lack of definitive imagery has been the skeptic's strongest shield, allowing dismissals of blurry shots as misidentified planes or drones. These new images shatter that defense. The sharp angles, the symmetrical wings, the radiant clusters of light, they point unequivocally to something engineered, something far beyond the ordinary. That they emerge during a sudden, dramatic spike in regional sightings only deepens a profound intrigue. Danish social media is a cauldron of fervent debate. UFO researchers, aviation experts, and curious onlookers clash over photographs' implications. Some insist they depict experimental drones of staggering size, perhaps part of secret tests in the Baltic region. Others counter that a craft of such size and brilliance, fly with impunity over populated areas, could not possibly escape official notice. The thundering silence from authorities acts as kerosene on the fire of speculation, leaving citizens to wonder why no statement has been issued amidst the chaos. The phenomenon refuses to respect borders. From southern Sweden to northern Germany, a chorus of witnesses describes identical objects, triangular forms, glowing orbs, and haunting green lights, all moving with that same extraordinary speed or unnerving hover. This cross-border nature of the events suggests the activity is not localized, but widespread, hinting at either meticulously coordinated operations or a phenomenon of immense, perhaps global, scale. History itself whispers a context. Northern Europe has long been a hotspot for such mysteries, with past decades offering tales of enigmatic lights over the North Sea and unexplained radar contacts that troubled both civilian and military operators. Yet, This current wave is unprecedented in its ferocity and its documentation. The volume of reports, compressed into such a short time and now coupled with evidence of startling clarity, has created an atmosphere of palpable urgency. Skeptics, of course, rally with alternative explanations. They propose misinterpretations of common drones, satellites, or atmospheric reflections. Some posit natural phenomena like ball lightning or auroras, though the distinctly structured mechanical shapes in the photographs brutally undermine these theories. What makes this case uniquely compelling is that the reports are not confined to a single, isolated group, but are spread across multiple nations and cultures, lending a powerful, cumulative weight to the argument that something tangible and intelligent is moving in the skies. For those convinced of a cover-up, the institutional silence is the most deafening evidence of all. The absence of acknowledgement or explanation is seen as a deliberate strategy, a way to keep the public in the dark while investigators work behind the scenes. Many believe the contradictory reports of orbs, green lights, and dark shapes are themselves a form of disinformation, seeded to create a fog of confusion and prevent a coherent public narrative from forming, a tactic chillingly familiar from other historical UFO cases. What remains undeniably clear is that Denmark and its neighbors are now the epicenter of one of the most significant UFO waves in modern memory. With photographs that defy dismissal, eyewitness accounts now numbering in the hundreds, and speculation spreading like wildfire, the phenomenon shows no sign of abating. Whether these are secret military craft, advanced drones, or evidence of something truly otherworldly, the people of this region are left staring at the heavens, their minds crowded with more questions than answers. Then, the scenario shifted from mystery to tangible threat. On the evening of September 22nd, the skies above northern Europe became a stage for one of the most unsettling aerial incidents in recent memory. What began with isolated sightings of enigmatic, glowing green drones swiftly escalated into the full-scale closure of two of Scandinavia's busiest airports, igniting fears of a deliberate, coordinated campaign to disrupt the continent's critical infrastructure. The first tremors were felt over Copenhagen. Witnesses began reporting strange, green lights near the capital's airport, lights described as far larger, brighter, and more persistent than any recreational drone. Some accounts claimed the objects hovered for over half an hour. Others insisted they remained airborne for more than an hour, displaying a flight endurance that defied all commercial norms. Their unnatural steadiness and silent, prolonged presence convinced many that these were no ordinary machines. Then, an unexpected voice emerged from within the aviation world, adding a profound new layer of unease. An individual identifying himself as an airport employee came forward, claiming he had witnessed and participated in procedures designed to obscure the true nature of the objects in the sky. His account suggested that what the public saw on the news was a carefully constructed illusion. According to him, routine airport drones were deliberately flown to act as decoys to distract attention from far stranger aerial activity occurring simultaneously. The insider explained that airports routinely operate their own unmanned aircraft for inspections and security. These devices are outfitted with standard, recognizable navigation lights. He alleged that on nights when unidentified objects appeared, his workplace would launch these familiar drones into visible airspace to provide a plausible, benign explanation for witnesses and radar operators. The effect was to create a narrative of a conventional, manageable situation, one that could be easily conveyed to an anxious public and a hungry media. What troubled him most was his insistence that the objects witnessed by the public did not match any conventional drone profile. They lacked standard blinking lights and the characteristic sound propellers. Observers reported steady, intense glows and hover times that far exceeded the known battery limits of even advanced military drones. In his view, the airport's drones were a visual smokescreen, a known quantity deployed to mask the unknown. He further alleged this was not a one-time reaction, but an established protocol to prevent public panic and keep flights moving, a coordinated effort to manage the narrative as much as the airspace. Air traffic authorities took no chances. With sightings of 2 to 3 of these large, glowing objects in the airspace near Copenhagen Airport, officials made the unprecedented decision to ground all takeoffs and landings. For nearly 4 hours, one of Europe's most vital air hubs was utterly paralyzed. The closure stranded tens of thousands of passengers, diverted flights, and sent disruptive ripples throughout the entire European air network. Almost in perfect sync, a nearly identical incident unfolded in Norway. Oslo Airport was forced to close its airspace for 3 hours after an unidentified drone was spotted overhead. The parallels were chilling. The timing, the glowing green appearance, the immediate and severe threat to air safety. For the first time in recent history, the busiest airports of Denmark and Norway were brought to a simultaneous standstill by mysterious, unmanned objects. The implications were not lost on officials. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen described the situation as the most serious attack yet on Denmark's critical infrastructure. She emphasized that the drone activity appeared deliberately designed to disrupt and create unrest, even if the specific origin remained shrouded. Her remarks highlighted a broader, alarming context. In the preceding months, Europe had been grappling with a pattern of unusual aerial activity and cyber disruptions, from suspected Russian airspace violations to hacker attacks on airport systems. Against this backdrop, the dual airport closures felt far from random. For the ordinary citizen, the glowing green drones became symbols of a deep-seated vulnerability. Those who saw them described an unnatural steadiness, a silence, and endurance that felt alien. The term unidentified aerial phenomena began to creep into the public lexicon, a recognition that these objects behave in ways that blurred the line between known technology and something entirely other. The closures exposed the profound fragility of modern aviation. The world's most secure and regulated environments were brought to their knees by a handful of silent, hovering lights. The economic and logistical consequences were immediate and severe, highlighting how a few hours of disruption could cripple global supply chains and shatter public confidence. Security experts were left with haunting questions. Were these drones the work of state actors, coldly probing European weaknesses? Or were they a new breed of technology operated by unknown entities with unknown motives? The glowing green lights and incredible endurance pointed away from amateur hobbyists and toward something far more sophisticated and sinister. European leaders measured their words carefully. While Prime Minister Frederiksen refrained from naming specific suspects, she made it clear the activity fit a dangerous pattern. The events were not dismissed as hoaxes. They were treated as credible and grave threats. On the human level, the incidents bred a potent mix of frustration and fear. Travelers trapped inside Copenhagen Airport watched the glowing objects through terminal windows, a silent, unnerving spectacle that underscored their helplessness. Families were separated, trips derailed, and a pervasive sense of unease settled over the continent. The realization dawned that Europe's skies, once a domain of order and safety, were now a potential battlefield. In the aftermath, governments scrambled to discuss anti-drone technologies, jammers, radar systems, even trained birds of prey. Yet the scale and coordination of the incidents raised a terrifying doubt. Were such measures enough? If drones could appear simultaneously over multiple capital cities, glowing brightly and hovering for hours, the threat seemed to belong to a new, more alarming era. The events of that September evening may well be remembered as a turning point. The glowing green drones over Europe remain unexplained. Whether they were advanced state-sponsored tools, experimental technology, or something far stranger, their presence has irrevocably altered the perception of safety in the skies. The closures of Copenhagen and Oslo airports served as a chilling reminder that in a world of escalating tensions and rapid technological advancement, even our most secure spaces are perilously exposed. The answers, for now, remain maddeningly out of reach, leaving a continent to gaze upward with renewed and profound wariness. The scene is set in Denmark. On the evening of September 22nd, the skies over northern Europe became the stage for one of the most extraordinary aerial events in recent memory. A newly released video, crackling with the urgency of a live feed, has reignited global debate. It captures a massive, glowing orb hanging with impossible poise above Copenhagen Airport, a brilliant, unwavering sphere set against the deep velvet of the night. This was no erratic drone. The orb possessed a remarkable stillness, a silent, suspended vigil that defied conventional physics. Its timing was profoundly significant. That very same night, Copenhagen Airport was plunged into a complete shutdown. Departures and arrivals froze. stranding thousands of travelers in a vortex of confusion. Officials pointed to drone activity, but a growing chorus of voices now whispers a different truth, that this singular, radiant orb was the real catalyst for the paralysis. For the witnesses who stood beneath it, its radiance and unnerving behavior were unlike anything in their experience. The footage, once unleashed online, became a digital wildfire. Some theorists propose it as advanced technology capable of silent, sustained flight. Others hear echoes in historical accounts of mysterious lights, suggesting an origin not of this world. Adding a layer of deliberate intrigue are the persistent claims that conventional drones were later deployed as a smokescreen, a calculated distraction from the true, otherworldly phenomenon. What began as scattered reports of luminous green objects had escalated into a large-scale assault on European air travel. Tens of thousands of passengers found themselves grounded as governments scrambled for answers. The epicenter was Copenhagen, where witnesses described a glowing orb hanging in the void, its light brighter and steadier than any known aircraft. It appeared suddenly, they said, and then it lingered, glowing with intensity that set it apart from anything in the public domain. Some claimed it remained motionless for nearly an hour. Others described a slow, deliberate drift, as holding a silent, strategic position above one of Europe's busiest air corridors. Its silence was as eerie as its light. Unlike the mechanical hum of drones, this object hovered in utter quiet, its green aura casting an otherworldly pall over the airport below. Air traffic controllers acted with swift, decisive fear. The risks were unacceptable. For nearly 4 hours, the lifeblood of Copenhagen Airport was halted. Flights were diverted and passengers crowded terminals, a captive audience to a mystery unfolding just beyond the glass. Only later would the word trickle out. The disruption was linked not to a simple drone, but to the glowing orb in the sky. Almost in sinister unison, Oslo Airport in Norway experienced a nearly identical event. Another luminous presence prompted a 3-hour closure of Norwegian airspace. This simultaneity was a chilling detail, convincing many that these were not isolated mishaps, but coordinated actions in a broader, unknown pattern. Witnesses in Norway described the same hovering orbs, the same strange green light. Officials in Denmark did not downplay the severity. Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen called it the most severe attack yet on the nation's infrastructure, emphasizing that the glowing orb was no ordinary sight. She warned that the activity was clearly intended to cause disruption and unease, even as its origin remained a shadow. Her remarks resonated internationally, reflecting a growing fear that Europe's critical infrastructure is now in the crosshairs of unexplained aerial and digital incursions. This incident did not occur in a vacuum. In the preceding months, a tense backdrop had been set. Several Eastern European nations had reported mysterious drone flights, believed to be the work of foreign powers. Estonia had confirmed Russian fighter jets violating its airspace, while Poland and Romania reported suspected drone incursions. Simultaneously, major European airports were struck by cyber disruptions, exposing profound vulnerability of even our most secure facilities. Against this drumbeat of tension, the glowing orbs over Copenhagen and Oslo felt less like anomalies and more like opening moves in an orchestrated campaign. For residents near Copenhagen, the experience was visceral and deeply unsettling. Many reported seeing the orb clearly from their homes, describing it as brighter and steadier than any drone could ever be. Its ability to hover silently for extended periods with no visible means of propulsion convinced numerous witnesses they were observing an unidentified aerial phenomenon, a classification militaries worldwide have been forced to grudgingly acknowledge. Some are now convinced that the traditional drones spotted later were a deliberate, tactical insertion designed to confuse observers and divert attention from the true, enigmatic object at the heart of the disruption. Meanwhile, in the digital shadows, a new piece of the puzzle emerges. A recently leaked photograph, circulating through various UFO-related subreddits, shows a silver, orb-like UFO allegedly taken at a military base. The image depicts a metallic, spherical object, suspended in midair as if by invisible threads. Its appearance has drawn immediate and compelling comparisons to other high-profile sightings: the mysterious silver orb over Manchester Airport, and the recurring UFO orb drones reported with unnerving frequency over New Jersey. The similarity is striking. Are these objects part of the same pervasive phenomenon? Are they advanced surveillance drones, experimental military craft, or something else entirely? As more alleged photos and videos surface, the growing volume of credible sightings suggests these are not mere hoaxes, but a pattern demanding explanation. The leaked UFO image reportedly originates from an unnamed individual within a classified military installation. Online sources claim that whistleblowers have described these objects possessing an uncanny ability to hover motionlessly over restricted areas for minutes on end, only to vanish at incredible speeds. The photo itself, surfaced on Reddit, shows a featureless metallic sphere, its surface a mirror-like finish reflecting its surroundings. It lacks any visible propulsion systems, wings, or rotors, a silent testament to technology far beyond publicly known capabilities. UFO researchers analyzing the image suggest the orb's reflective surface could indicate an advanced material designed for stealth or energy absorption, potentially explaining their notorious ability to evade radar. Government agencies maintain their standard silence, but the object's striking resemblance to other documented orbs fuels speculation of a broader, interconnected mystery. This latest sighting is a near-perfect echo of the incident above Manchester Airport earlier this year. There, multiple eyewitnesses, including airline pilots and air traffic controllers, reported a metallic spherical object hovering near critical airspace. It was briefly detected on radar before it disappeared at high velocity, leaving no trace. A video captured by a bystander showed a shimmering silver orb, reflecting sunlight with an unnatural stillness before it darted away in a split second. Aviation authorities dismissed it as a weather balloon or drone, but experts argued its flight characteristics defied all conventional explanation. With 3 separate cases, a military base, a major airport, and the skies over New Jersey, displaying eerily similar objects, the question is no longer about isolated incidents, but about a single recurring phenomenon. Theories about their origin are as varied as they are profound. Some believe they are experimental surveillance drones, utilizing next-generation propulsion. Their preference for military and aviation hubs supports this. Another possibility points to foreign adversaries like Russia or China, though many military insiders dismiss this, stating no known nation possesses such capabilities. Many UFO researchers argue that the core characteristics, silent operation, incredible speed, lack of propulsion, and sudden disappearances, suggest a non-human origin. They could be autonomous probes designed for observation. A more speculative theory, backed by videos that show them vanishing and reappearing in different parts of the sky, suggests these orbs might phase in and out of our reality. This could explain their ghostly behavior and ability to avoid conventional detection. The recurring presence of these silver orbs across the globe indicates a phenomenon that can no longer be ignored. If the leaked military photo is authentic, it is one of the most compelling pieces of evidence yet that governments are aware of these objects but have not fully disclosed their findings. Their repeated appearance in sensitive airspace suggests an interaction with human infrastructure in ways we do not yet understand. This entire discourse is now unfolding against a digital battlefield. The internet is flooded with an unprecedented wave of UFO images and videos. Some appear to show genuine, unidentified phenomena, while others are quickly dismissed as hoaxes or digital manipulations. This deluge has sparked a heated debate within the research community, as experts struggle to separate signal from noise. A chilling suspicion is taking hold that disinformation agents are deliberately muddying the waters. Their goal? To create confusion and cast doubt on the authenticity of real, groundbreaking leaks. If true, this means a strategic campaign is underway, designed to discredit whistleblowers and obscure the truth. However, a counterintuitive school of thought is emerging. Some researchers believe this very rise in disinformation is a telling sign. If officials feel the need to counteract recent leaks so aggressively, it could be a powerful indicator that these disclosures are hitting dangerously close to the truth. After all, if there was nothing to hide, why launch a campaign to confuse and discredit? Disinformation is a classic tool of secrecy. By flooding the zone with fake sightings, altered images, and misleading narratives, the entire topic can be made to seem less credible. This tactic also serves to discredit legitimate whistleblowers. If a person comes forward with real, classified evidence, but the public is already drowning in AI-generated fakes, their testimony can be easily dismissed as part of the madness. Some researchers are now convinced this is exactly what is happening. The recent leaks of egg-shaped UFOs, alleged crash retrievals, and credible whistleblower testimonies are being strategically diluted by an avalanche of misinformation. The objective is clear. If the public becomes terminally skeptical, the demand for official disclosure will fade, allowing the old walls of secrecy to remain standing. Many suspect intelligence agencies or private contractors tied to classified UFO programs are behind this wave. They have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo. The full disclosure of non-human technology or advanced propulsion systems would trigger a seismic shift in global power structures, technology, and humanity's very self-conception. This theory is supported by the long history of whistleblowers being harassed and discredited. The fact that those in power may be scrambling to distort public perception is, for some, not a cause for despair, but for hope. It could be the clearest sign yet that the truth is finally, inexorably breaking free. In the heart of the American Southwest lies the Navajo Nation Reservation, a sprawling sea of rock and sky where ancient legends whisper on the wind. This is a land carved by time, a realm of breathtaking canyons and sacred mesas. For generations, the Navajo Rangers have been its silent sentinels, guardians of both the physical terrain and the profound cultural secrets woven into its very soil. Their duty is a sacred vow, a lifelong commitment to preserving the natural beauty and protecting the mysteries that dwell in the shadows of the cliffs and the silence of the deserts. Over the years, their logs are filled with accounts of the inexplicable, eerie phenomena in the deep wilderness, encounters with beings that defy all logic. These are not mere campfire tales. They are a testament, passed down through time, to the unbreakable bond between the Navajo people and the land they call home. It was into this world of thin veils and old magic that a ranger named Ka stepped one warm summer night, a woman whose soul was woven from the threads of her ancestry. Ka had dedicated her life to being a steward of this sacred ground. Her colleagues knew her not just for her skill, but for her profound connection to the wild, a bond that was her sanctuary and her strength. The call from her manager was urgent, crackling through the static of her radio. Strange events were unfolding near the reservation's edge. With unwavering resolve, she pulled on a familiar uniform, summoned her faithful canine partner, Neone, and set out into the deepening twilight. A heavy sense of duty settled over her as she drove toward the unknown. The further she ventured from the paved roads, the more the world changed. The vibrant nocturnal chorus of crickets and night birds fell away, replaced by a suffocating, unnatural silence. The very air grew still and watchful. Neone, usually a burst of canine enthusiasm, now moved with a hunter's caution, her body low, the fur on her neck bristling. Trusting her own deep intuition, Ka pressed on, her boots crunching on the arid earth. Above, a luminous moon cast the desert in a ghostly silver sheen, revealing a landscape both beautiful and alien. Suddenly, Neone froze, a low growl rumbling in her throat as she pointed her muzzle toward a dark, stooped silhouette on the horizon. Ka's heart hammered against her ribs as she strained to see. The figure was tall, moving with a jerky, unnatural gait on two legs. As it drew closer, a primal dread coiled in her stomach. The thing before her was a paradox, a nightmare-given form. It stood like a man but was clad in the coarse, matted fur of a wolf, armed with cruel claws and eyes that burned with feral, golden light. This was the Dogman, a creature of Navajo folklore, a story made terrifyingly real. A wave of terror and awe washed over Ka. Her training kicked in. Her hand moved to her radio. But in that instant, the creature unleashed a blood-curdling howl that shattered the silence, and with impossible speed, it vanished into the labyrinth of shadows, leaving behind only the chilling echo of its cry. Ka stood alone, the adrenaline coursing through her veins. She had looked upon something from beyond the world of human understanding. An hour later, she returned to the ranger station, her mind reeling. She knew this encounter would haunt her forever, a permanent scar on her perception of reality. As word of her experience spread to the reservation, it became a cautionary legend, a stark reminder of the ancient mysteries that sleep just beneath the surface of the modern world. Ka continued her duties, forever changed, knowing the dogman was still out there, a living enigma in a land where the line between story and truth is forever blurred. Another ranger, a man named Dan, carried his own ghost. He was a man of few words, whose action spoke volumes more than any story. His life was a prayer of protection for the land and its sacred traditions. His patrols a form of spiritual communion. On a moonless night, he moved with soundless grace through the rugged terrain, his flashlight beam carving frantic shapes from the twisted junipers and looming rock faces. He knew this land held secrets, but he was unprepared for the one that awaited him. An unsettling discomfort prickled at his senses moments before he heard it, a soft, ethereal chanting, as if the ancient stones themselves were singing. He froze, the old stories of skinwalkers flooding his mind. The chanting swelled, weaving a haunting melody through the darkness. Then his light found it, a shadowed figure, its form shifting and contorting as it muttered its incantations. Instinctively, Dan began to pray. The chanting ceased. He stepped closer, the beam of his light revealing a shapeshifter, a horrific amalgam of man and beast that defied nature. The thing let out a piercing, eerie cackle that seemed to freeze the blood in his veins, and then, in a blink, it was gone, swallowed by the night as if it had never been. Dan stood rooted to the spot, the silence now more terrifying than the sound. He had faced a force from the world of legend. In the days that followed, a hushed tension fell over the Navajo people. His encounter was a tremor, a stark reminder of the potent traditions and mystical powers that still walked their land. Dan reported the incident, knowing he might be met with skepticism, but his resolve to protect his people and their home never wavered. He continued his patrols, the memory etched into his soul, a permanent testament to the hidden realms that lie just beyond the edge of sight. Park Ranger Sam Gray had also walked the same razor's edge. While patrolling the vast, silent wilderness of the reservation, a night that began as routine quickly twisted into something else. The desert's nightly symphony cut out, plunging the world into an eerie, foreboding stillness. His flashlight illuminated the skeletal forms of Joshua trees, casting long, dancing shadows. Then a low, menacing snarl broke the quiet. Sam's pulse spiked. Every creature of the night had fallen silent at once. From behind the ancient rock formations, a figure emerged, a horrific fusion of human and wolf, the dreaded dogman. Its eyes glowed with a sinister light, its fangs gleaming. Sam knew the legends. He knew this area was a hot spot for such sightings. But now, the myth was standing before him, breathing, growling. A deep vulnerability gripped him, but his oath to protect this land steeled his nerve. The creature let out a primal growl that vibrated through the ground. Thinking fast, Sam dropped into a defensive crouch, shielding his eyes. For a moment, the growl softened, the creature seeming confused, as if Sam's reaction was unexpected. A flicker of hope ignited, but was just as quickly extinguished as the dogman unleashed one final, spine-chilling howl and then exploded into a sprint, disappearing into the impenetrable darkness. Sam knew he had witnessed the impossible. His breath came in ragged gasps as he composed himself and returned to the station. He chose to bury the story, certain his superiors would dismiss it. It was years before he confided in a colleague who, to his relief, shared her own story of a mysterious patrol encounter. This exchange revealed a hidden truth. They were not alone in their experiences. Sam first told his story in 2009, and in doing so, found a cathartic release, unlocking a floodgate of similar accounts from others. He has since retired, but that single encounter forever altered the lens through which he saw the world. Ranger Leona Neza's story began as the desert sun bled below the horizon. During her usual patrol along the reservation's crisscrossing roads, her headlights swept around a bend and illuminated a massive, muscular figure, shrouded in shaggy fur, standing at the road's edge. She slammed on the brakes, her truck skidding to a halt just yards away. Staring into the creature's deep, intelligent eyes, visible within its hairy face, she saw something that defied explanation. Its breath plumed in the chill air. It was, she would later say, larger than any man she had ever seen. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, it turned and melted into the dark wilderness. Leona was left questioning her own senses, yet the image was burned into her memory, another strange data point in a land rich with them. This sighting joins a vast catalog of enigmatic reports from across the region. The idea that we are not alone has fascinated humanity for centuries. Every year, countless strange encounters are logged, leaving witnesses perplexed. In the planet's remote corners, where few dare to venture, extraordinary incidents are routinely reported. While many have mundane explanations, a stubborn minority defy all logic. A particular photograph, for instance, has circulated among groups dedicated to investigating mysterious humanoids. Allegedly taken in northern Idaho, it is hailed by some as one of the most compelling and visually distinct pieces of evidence available, its clarity fueling intense speculation. All across North America, reports persist of gigantic, hairy beings. Witnesses describe creatures completely covered in hair, sightings concentrated in the pristine wilderness of the United States and Canada. Local legends, though they use different names, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, often describe similar creatures. What truly gives researchers pause is the sheer volume of testimony from rangers, hikers, and hunters, practical, experienced people who have either seen something themselves or know someone who has. While the scientific community points to a lack of concrete evidence, those who live and work in the forest argue that such encounters are not uncommon. This disconnect between academic skepticism and consistent first-hand accounts forms the core of the mystery. Despite lifelong efforts by amateur researchers to find proof, most evidence has been debunked. Yet, the most compelling data points remain the sincere testimonies of witnesses who have nothing to gain from fabrication. Researchers who take these claims seriously suggest that if such creatures exist, they could be relic populations, small groups that have survived in the vast, remote wilderness. While it seems improbable for large animals to remain hidden, wildlife experts note that new species are discovered every year. With rapid technological advancement, many believe it is only a matter of time before a breakthrough discovery finally verifies the existence of these remarkable beings. A case in point comes from a homestead owner in Washington who posted a perplexing photograph to social media. He explained that his trail camera, positioned on his 84-acre wooded property, captured the image one summer before being found destroyed. "My trail camera takes an image as soon as it detects motion," he said. On some of the photographs, nothing could be seen, but that's because it was detecting movements close by. When I headed out to the spot, I found it in pieces. So, whatever this creature was, it knew the camera was there. He described his initial confusion, his mind jumping to a monkey, though he knew it was illegal to own such animals in Washington. He recalled hearing strange noises a few nights prior, which he had attributed to coyotes. Now, he is working with investigators and purchasing more cameras, determined to identify the creature. Bigfoot, or Sasquatch, has held the public's imagination for centuries. This elusive humanoid, reportedly roaming the North American wilderness, is shrouded in enigma. The primary evidence lies in the thousands of eyewitness accounts and anecdotal reports describing a large, bipedal, hair-covered creature. The multitude of discovered footprints, often larger than humans and exhibiting possible primate features, adds to the body of evidence. Scientifically, the possibility exists that Bigfoot could be a relic population of an ancient primate. Ecologically, the dense, remote forest could theoretically provide the sustenance and seclusion needed for a large species to survive. Yet, significant challenges remain. There's a profound lack of physical evidence. No bodies, no conclusive DNA from hair or tissue. The survival of a breeding population would require a substantial number of individuals, making the lack of more verifiable encounters puzzling. Furthermore, the typically solitary nature of reported sightings contradicts what we know of social primate behavior. Despite the skepticism, the constant discovery of new species in remote areas means the possibility, however faint, cannot be entirely dismissed. This leads to an inevitable question. Has the U.S. government investigated? Through the Freedom of Information Act, it was revealed that in the 1970s, the FBI did analyze hair samples at the request of a Bigfoot organization, concluding they were from a deer. While national park rangers, as federal employees, have engaged with reports, there is no evidence of a dedicated, systematic government investigation. The lack of scientific evidence and any direct threat to national security likely precludes such an effort. The allure of these tales is undeniable. One such account comes from an experienced hiker in the Pacific Northwest. On a solo trip into the dense forests of Oregon, he was unsettled by an eerie, guttural growl unlike any forest sound he knew. The next day, he discovered a series of enormous, deep footprints, each about 15 inches long. That evening, by his campfire, he saw it, a large, shadowy figure standing upright at the edge of the light, covered in thick, matted fur, its eyes reflecting the flames. A moment of shared, palpable curiosity passed between them before the creature turned and vanished. The hiker left the forest with an extraordinary tale, a personal experience that, for believers, underscores the powerful allure of the unknown. Across the world, in the soaring peaks of the Himalayas, the Yeti holds an indomitable place in Tibetan culture. To Westerners, it may be fiction, but to the Tibetans, it is much more. The Yeti, or Mishi man-bear, embodies the power and unpredictability of their formidable landscape. It is a spiritual entity, a protector of the high wilderness. Sightings are not uncommon and are often interpreted as omens or warnings, teaching respect for the mountains. Tibetan monasteries are said to hold relics, like skull caps and hands, reinforcing this deep-seated belief. The Yeti has become a symbol of cultural pride and a beacon for tourism. For the Tibetan people, the truth of the Yeti resides not in the body, but in the enduring power of narrative, culture, and the human capacity for wonder. Back in the United States, hundreds of hikers still come forward with accounts of large humanoids in the dense forests. Despite scientific skepticism, the witnesses persist, fueling the belief. Skeptics maintain that without concrete evidence, the creature cannot be verified. This ongoing debate is a microcosm of a larger human desire to explore the boundaries of our known world. This same desire for discovery is rewriting human history itself. For centuries, the Amazon was seen as a pristine wilderness, incapable of hosting complex civilizations. This view is now collapsing. Archaeological evidence of sprawling, agrarian urban settlements has been discovered beneath the lush canopies of Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka, and Central America. In the Amazon, data from the Kazarabi culture site in Bolivia reveals a vast, densely populated settlement system covering an estimated 4,500 square kilometers. The architectural design of these sites is staggering, featuring tiered platforms, U-shaped buildings, and conical pyramids reaching 70 feet high. These central hubs were encircled by concentric moats and ramparts and connected to smaller settlements by raised causeways that stretched for kilometers. A comprehensive network of canals and reservoirs completed this sophisticated, human-altered landscape. The discovery was revolutionized by LiDAR, light detection and ranging technology. Mounted on a helicopter, it digitally cleared the canopy, revealing the ghostly outline of an immense urban center around Llanos de Mojos. This settlement, abandoned around 600 years ago, belonged to the Kazarabi culture 500-1400C. The images show a landscape fundamentally shaped by human hands, a highly urbanized civilization that thrived for centuries before recorded history. As one co-author of the study stated, there's an old Spanish saying that the person who refuses to see is the most blind. This find is unique. While other examples of Amazonian urbanism existed, they were often networks of interconnected villages. Llanos de Mojos possesses distinct, monumental urban centers, making it, in the words of one expert, the most explicit instance of fully urbanized Amazonian landscape. The challenge has always been a remote, dense forest, making ground exploration difficult. LiDAR cut through this barrier, revealing pyramids, causeways, and a radial network of roads resembling spokes on a wheel. The civilization's cosmology was literally etched into the earth, though a drawback was their use of mud brick, less durable than the limestone of the Maya. This groundbreaking research shows us how much we still have to learn about the ingenuity and scale of past civilizations. This sense of mystery extends to protected wilderness of America's national parks. They hold not only natural beauty, but also unsettling secrets. One ranger, Mr. Harris, shared a bizarre discovery from his years patrolling the Appalachian Mountains. On a crisp autumn morning, he found a single, perfectly intact human tooth glinting among the leaves. He reported it, but it was an isolated find. Then, over the following weeks, he found more, dozens of human teeth, all in impeccable condition, as if recently extracted, scattered throughout the park. The consistency was baffling. Forensic experts determined the teeth came from a diverse range of individuals, yet no other human remains were ever found. Delving into the park's history, Ranger Harris uncovered legends of indigenous burial grounds and ancient rituals. He learned that, in some native beliefs, teeth held deep spiritual significance and were preserved as sacred relics. The park transformed for him from a place of simple beauty into a nexus of history and spirituality, its soil holding silent stories of those who came before. Each year, the serene facade of these parks is fractured by a haunting phenomenon. People vanish. While National Park Service reports an average of 1,000 missing persons annually, the true number is believed to be much higher. Some disappearances have logical explanations: rugged terrain, extreme weather, animal attacks. But others are shrouded in profound mystery, giving rise to theories of supernatural forces, paranormal entities, and even interdimensional portals. Strangely, many of those who are found report bizarre experiences, slips in time, or encounters with mysterious individuals. Some missing persons reappear after days, believing only hours had passed, or are found atop distant mountains, having traversed impossible distances on foot. This cluster of bizarre cases has been labeled the Missing 411 phenomenon, characterized by sudden vanishings, a lack of clues, and circumstances that defy rational explanation. Theories abound, from predatory unknown animals to covert government operations. The low resolution rate of these cases continues to confound investigators, leaving families in anguish and a permanent sense of unease. Researchers dedicated to these patterns meticulously analyze data, searching for answers in the hope of enhancing safety and, perhaps, one day pulling back the curtain on profound and unsettling mysteries that linger in the heart of our most beautiful wild places. The extraordinary saga of Kin, which began with the unearthing of a strange meteorite in Panama and the chilling discovery of a sentient black goo within, has reached what many are calling its stunning final act. In a climactic video uploaded to his account, Kin was seen performing a final, irreversible ritual, releasing the mysterious entity back into the wild under the clear light of day. The setting was charged with ancient significance, a weathered, stone temple, its blocks worn smooth by centuries, standing sentinel over a tranquil, secluded body of water. It was here, in this nexus of history and mystery, that can open a heavy safe and set the being free, a decision that would instantly fracture global opinion. For one camp of viewers, the act was not one of liberation, but a profound recklessness. They saw a Pandora's box being opened, warning that introducing an unknown entity into a populated ecosystem could be a mistake etched in the annals of human catastrophe. To them, after meticulously documenting the goo's uncanny growth, its deliberate movements, and its eerie, reactive behavior, Kin's duty was to seek permanent, secure containment. The footage was not a triumph. It was a horror story in its first chapter, a glimpse of the beginning humanity is ill-prepared to face. Yet, for others, Kin's choice was a moment of poetic justice, an act of compassion, or even cosmic destiny. They argued this being was never a specimen to be imprisoned in a metal box, cut off from the world it seemed to study. Its shimmering, branching forms and its clear attraction to natural elements marked it as something that needed the world to live. They saw profound meaning in his chosen location, the temple in the water, a sacred, symbolic sanctuary where the entity could exist beyond the crush of human interference, a place where the ancient and the alien could meet. Almost immediately, the digital world erupted with new purpose. Locals and intrepid enthusiasts from the region declared their intent to journey to the temple, to seek out the creature and continue the documentation Kin had begun. This new chapter, they proclaimed, would be a communal effort. The saga was no longer Kin's alone. It had been passed like a torch to a global community of truth seekers, ensuring the story would not fade with its release. The final video itself was a masterpiece of haunting simplicity. Kin, whose previous updates had grown increasingly guarded, filmed as the container was lowered to the water's edge. The moment the safe was unsealed, the entity stirred with palpable intent. Its obsidian surface, shimmering under the sun, seemed to pulse with life, extending tender-like projections toward the liquid before slowly, deliberately merging with it. For the millions watching, it was an indelible image, a piece of another world or another reality, dissolving into the heart of our own. Online, the reaction was explosive. View counts skyrocketed as debates raged. The extraterrestrial camp pointed to the goo's seemingly intelligent, purposeful movement as proof of a consciousness beyond our ken. The biological theorists emphasized its organic, almost fungal appearance, suggesting a radical, undiscovered form of terrestrial life. The technological advocates saw in its complex, web-like structures the hallmarks of intricate design, perhaps alien nanotechnology awakening to a new environment. What made Kin's journey so compelling was this potent blend of tangible evidence and raw, unfolding drama. For months, the world watched the entity grow, confined yet restless, and speculated about the unseen pressures from officials and rivals seeking to claim it. Now, with a safe thrown open in so symbolic a gesture, the saga feels both complete and eternally unfinished. Complete, because Kin has relinquished his role. Unfinished, because the being is still out there, its location now public knowledge, with a new generation of hunters already pledging to find it. Fears of a cover-up have only intensified. Some argue Kin's public release was a brilliant stroke, making any attempt to erase the phenomenon impossible. Too many eyes have seen it. Too many copies exist. Others fear this very visibility will trigger a swift, silent intervention by authorities, who will spirit the entity away, leaving the public once more with only whispers and questions. For Kin's supporters, his was an act of immense courage. He understood the weight of his discovery, and knew that locking it away forever would bury the truth. By setting it free, he gave the world undeniable proof of something extraordinary, regardless of consequences. He had succeeded in revealing a wonder that could no longer be dismissed as myth or hoax. For his critics, however, the moment is shrouded in dread. They believe he may have unleashed a force beyond human control, potentially exposing our ecosystems, our communities, and our future to an incalculable risk. They hear the echoes of countless cautionary tales, where a single act of curiosity unleashes a cataclysm. To them, the Kin saga has transformed from a fascinating mystery into a looming source of global anxiety. As of now, the Black Goo resides in the wild near the ancient temple and its life-giving water. It is said to shift, grow, and react, unseen by most but imagined by millions. Kin's personal story may have ended with that final upload, but in truth, the narrative has simply been set adrift, passing into the hands of others, the seekers, the protectors, and those who would seek to silence it forever. In 2015, a seismic leak ripped through the corridors of power, making public a trove of email from John Podesta, a former White House chief of staff and advisor to presidents. Among the mundane correspondence was a stunning exchange with Edgar Mitchell, a former NASA astronaut and the sixth man to walk on the moon. In these messages, Mitchell urgently pressed Podesta to champion the disclosure of zero-point energy, a theoretical, limitless power source that could revolutionize technology and end our dependence on fossil fuels. The leak ignited a firestorm, fueling long-held suspicions that world governments were deliberately concealing world-altering technologies. Edgar Mitchell was no ordinary voice. His experience standing on the lunar surface in 1971 had fundamentally altered him, sending him on a lifelong quest to explore consciousness, extraterrestrial intelligence, and suppressed science. In his communiques to Podesta, he spoke with the conviction of a man who knew a profound secret. That zero-point energy, the boundless quantum energy latent in the fabric of space-time, was not just theory, but reality, and it was being withheld by clandestine government programs, often linked to recovered UFO materials. Mitchell went further, suggesting a non-human intelligence was aware of humanity's technological stumbles and was monitoring our planet. He emphasized the need for peaceful engagement and believed zero-point energy was a key to understanding the physics behind their advanced crafts. John Podesta, for his part, was already a known advocate for transparency on UFOs and advanced science. Having served at the highest levels of American politics, he had publicly expressed his frustration at the government's refusal to open its files. The leaked emails revealed a behind-the-scenes effort, suggesting that credible insiders were actively fighting to reveal technologies that could reshape civilization itself. The implications were staggering. If true, it would mean that solutions to the global energy crisis, environmental collapse, and geopolitical strife already existed, but were locked away in black budget projects. The ethical breach was monumental. The reasons for such secrecy are speculated to be rooted in national security, fear of losing a technological edge, or the catastrophic weaponization of such power. Mitchell's references to extraterrestrial oversight added another layer, implying that disclosure might confirm we are not alone and that our technological development is of interest to others. The leaked correspondence has since become a rallying cry. For many, the suppression of such knowledge is a crime against humanity, perpetuating scarcity and inequality. The demand for transparency has only grown, with a sense that a controlled, gradual disclosure is already underway, paving the way for a revelation that will redefine our species' future. In the annals of space exploration, few images carry the weight of a single, mysterious photograph that appears to show a massive, structured ship resting inside a lunar crater. This image, shared by an astronaut from a mission shrouded in secrecy, presents a stark anomaly, an object with sharp, angular lines and a distinct, artificial silhouette, partially buried in the moon dust as if it had been there for eons, a silent sentinel in the void. This discovery did not come from official channels, but from the tireless work of amateur researchers who spend countless hours sifting through NASA's vast public archives. They identified this particular image from the Apollo 15 mission, measuring the object at an astonishing 6 miles in length. These digital archaeologists assert this is not an isolated find, but part of a pattern of strange artifacts found in lunar and planetary imagery, often allegedly edited or airbrushed out by the space agency in a bid to manage public perception and avoid widespread anxiety. NASA, for its part, consistently denies these claims, stating that no evidence of artificial structures exists and that they do not systematically alter images. They attribute the sightings to pareidolia, the human tendency to see familiar shapes in random patterns, and the tricks of light and shadow on a stark, alien landscape. Yet, for believers, the object's symmetrical, complex form is undeniable proof of non-human intelligence. The implications are universe-altering. If an artifact of such scale exists on our celestial doorstep, it would force a complete reevaluation of our place in the cosmos and our plans for lunar exploration, potentially triggering a new space race not between nations, but toward understanding. This lunar mystery is part of a deeper historical tapestry of unexplained phenomena in space, dating back to the dawn of the space age. During NASA's seminal Mercury missions in the early 1960s, reports emerged of unidentified objects shadowing the capsules. Terrestrial radar operators tracked blips exhibiting impossible speeds and maneuvers. Mission controllers and astronomers reported visual confirmations of luminous, pulsating objects that held formation with the spacecraft. Onboard telemetry captured anomalous signals and electromagnetic interference, while grainy film footage showed saucer-like and cylindrical forms that defied identification as space junk or known satellites. NASA's official explanation, attributing the events to optical illusions and reflections, failed to satisfy many who saw the cumulative evidence as pointing to something far more profound. This legacy of the unknown continued into the modern era. In 2017, the International Space Station's live feed, watched by thousands around the globe, captured a colossal, disc-shaped object hovering near the station. For several minutes, the structured metallic craft was visible, its symmetrical form and immense scale, hundreds of meters in diameter, defying conventional explanation as debris or a satellite. It moved with deliberate grace before drifting out of view, leaving behind a global audience captivated and unsettled. Skeptics propose reflections or camera artifacts, but these theories struggle to account for the object's defined structure and controlled movement. The context lent the sighting immense credibility. This was the ISS, one of humanity's most advanced observatories, capturing the event in crisp detail. The sighting echoes the credible testimonies of astronauts like Gordon Cooper and Edgar Mitchell, who have spoken openly of their own UFO encounters. The profound implications of such a sighting are inescapable. If a craft of such advanced engineering was observing the ISS, it suggests not only that other intelligences exist, but that they are here, now, demonstrating a technology we can scarcely comprehend. It raises urgent questions about their intent and underscores the necessity for global cooperation and transparency among space agencies. The call is for an unbiased, international investigation to finally address the question that haunts our species as we gaze into the starry void. Are we truly alone? In the span of a single day, a wave of chilling reports has swept across Russia, sparking global alarm and a terrifying new label: the first genuine outbreak of zombie-like behavior. From multiple towns, citizens are reporting encounters with individuals in a trance-like state, their actions defying all logic and human instinct. The accounts are unnervingly consistent. People sprinting headlong into moving trucks, gnawing frantically on metal, and lunging at bystanders with a feral, unnatural frenzy. A central piece of evidence, a viral video now seared into the international consciousness, shows a man charging without hesitation into the side of a moving truck, his body absorbing the catastrophic impact as if pain were a forgotten concept. The footage is raw, unfiltered, and to the millions who have seen it, it serves as undeniable proof that something deeply wrong has been unleashed. This is no isolated incident. A chorus of witnesses describes men and women moving with erratic, jerking motions, their strength seemingly amplified, their self-preservation utterly erased. Drivers tell of these figures hurling themselves at vehicles, denting steel with their bodies, their faces contorted in a mask of grim determination. They scratch at paint, bang on windows, and attempt to bite through car doors with predatory instinct that has left communities paralyzed with fear. The terrifying consensus is that something is spreading, a force that strips away reason and leaves only a raw, destructive impulse in its wake. The now infamous truck impact video is the grim centerpiece of this mystery. In the grainy recording, the figure is seen staggering, then suddenly erupting into a full-force sprint before launching himself into the vehicle. Eyewitnesses insist this was not the stumble of a drunk or a person in crisis, but a robotic, deliberate act, as if he were a puppet driven by an unseen will. The most horrifying detail, they claim, is that after the bone-shattering impact, he rose again and began trying to bite the truck's metal frame, a resilience that defies all medical and logical explanation. As the news proliferates, Russian citizens have flooded online forums, their digital cries echoing a real-world panic. They demand answers from their authorities, pleading for transparency. Theories spiral from the plausible to the unthinkable: a clandestine chemical leak, a military bioweapon experiment gone catastrophically wrong, or even an extraterrestrial influence. What unites these theories is a shared, chilling certainty: ordinary explanations have failed. The videos are too stark, the witness accounts too numerous and consistent, to be dismissed as rumor. The panic is no longer contained by borders. Around the world, analysts and viewers dissect the footage, recognizing its historic weight. Commentators draw parallels to unexplained historical epidemics and tales of mass hysteria, but note that never before has there been such visceral, video evidence of a human losing their humanity. These are not people. They are forces of nature, attacking heavy machinery with a fury that conventional science cannot rationalize. On the ground, the terror is palpable. Residents report seeing hordes of these individuals roaming together, both under the cover of night and in the stark light of day. Families barricade themselves indoors, warning their children of the monsters outside. Truckers passing to the afflicted regions share harrowing tales of being ambushed, their rigs rocked by figures slamming against them with inexplicable fury. Trust in protective institutions is evaporating, replaced by a vacuum of information that feeds only dread and speculation. Theories about the origin spiral ever darker. Is it a novel, brain-altering pathogen? A neurological agent released by accident? For those living through it, life has become a waking nightmare, heightened by the deafening silence from official channels. This silence is a breeding ground for the most profound fears. International security experts now voice grave concerns. They warn that the aggression and resilience displayed in the footage suggests a phenomenon that traditional containment methods may be powerless to stop. How does one deter an attacker who feels no pain, no fear, and no consequence? The fact that one man could survive a direct collision with a truck and continue his assault raises a terrifying question. What happens if there are hundreds? Thousands? For now, a black cloud of uncertainty hangs over Russia. Each new clip of these zombies biting trucks and charging cars adds fuel to the global fire, reinforcing the terrifying notion that this is only the beginning. The people are left with a haunting reality that a force beyond their understanding may be loose in their homeland, and the world holds its breath, waiting to see if this is a prologue to a horror story once confined to fiction. In a revelation that seems ripped from a Hollywood script, the U.S. Department of Defense once formally drafted a strategy to combat a potential zombie apocalypse. While the undead are a staple of pop culture, the notion that the planet's most powerful military would have a plan for them is a staggering truth. In 2011, the Pentagon released Plan 8888, also known as a counter-zombie dominance plan. Its opening line was deadpan and deliberate. This plan was not actually designed as a joke. This was not the work of fringe enthusiasts. This was the Department of Defense, the agency with a budget of hundreds of billions and a global footprint, finding it necessary to blueprint a response to the undead. The origins of the plan lie in a training exercise around 2010, where military planners use the outlandish scenario to hone critical thinking and strategic creativity in a no-stakes environment. A Pentagon spokeswoman, Captain Pamela Coons, clarified, "This document is not a U.S. Strategic Command Plan, but rather an unconventional tool for training." The strategy itself was meticulously structured in 3 parts. First, the protection of humanity, establishing safe zones and monitoring infection hotspots. Second, the eradication of the threat, developing and distributing a vaccine while systematically neutralizing zombie hordes. Finally, the restoration of order, rebuilding a society shattered by the collapse of law and infrastructure. The plan's creators displayed a darkly comprehensive imagination, even classifying zombies into 8 distinct types, including pathogen-based, magic-based, and surprisingly, chicken zombies, a category with bizarre real-world precedent from a 2006 incident where carbon monoxide gas chickens exhibited brief, spasmodic movement. The document also coolly addressed the legal ramifications of fighting the undead, noting that military laws of engagement apply only to living humans and animals, thus granting full legal authority to eliminate the zombie threat. The DoD was not alone in this macabre preparedness. The Centers for Disease Control, CDC, also launched a zombie preparedness campaign, using the engaging scenario to teach the public vital lessons about real-world disaster readiness. The line between fact and fiction, it seems, can be a powerful tool for education. As the Complan files noted, the ridiculous nature of the scenario allowed students to engage with the fundamentals of military strategy very effectively. The greatest mystery, perhaps, is why more governments haven't followed suit in a world that grows stranger by the day. In the frozen depths of the Siberian permafrost, a Pandora's box is slowly thawing. In 2014, a team of French scientists made a breathtaking discovery: a giant zombie virus, dormant for 30,000 years, waiting in the ice. Giant refers not to physical size, but to genetic complexity. This DNA virus, Pithevirus ibericum, boasts a staggering 500 genes, a vast arsenal that makes it exceptionally resilient and dangerous. These ancient pathogens are characterized by their tough, hard-to-penetrate shells, allowing them to endure for millennia. The dormant perils locked in the Earth's icy grasp, once controlled by the cold, are now being awakened by our changing world. The Arctic is warming at up to 4 times the global average, causing the upper layers of permafrost, a frozen soil layer that covers vast stretches of the northern hemisphere, to melt. This thawing is not just an environmental shift. It is the unlocking of a deep freeze time capsule. Professor Jean-Michel Claverie of AIX Marseille University has dedicated his work to unearthing these zombie viruses. His research involves extracting soil samples from the Siberian permafrost to test the infectivity of the viral particles within. He has successfully revived several of these ancient viruses, confirming they can still invade and replicate within host cells. For safety, his team focuses exclusively on viruses that target single-celled amoebas, not animals or humans. His groundbreaking work has identified multiple viral families. In a recent study, his team isolated several new strains from permafrost across Siberia, with the oldest dating back 48,500 years. These viruses, found deep underground, and even in the preserved remains of a woolly mammoth, were all able to infect lab-cultured amoebas. The fact that viruses remain infectious after such an incomprehensible time span points to a potentially significant and overlooked public health threat. Professor Clavery worries his research is seen as a mere curiosity when it should be a stark warning. The risk is not theoretical. In 2016, a thawing permafrost in Siberia released dormant anthrax spores, leading to an outbreak that killed a child and thousands of reindeer. The concern is that a virus, untouched by human immune systems for millennia, could emerge with no natural defense in place. As scientist Kimberly Miner from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory emphasizes, the preservation of the permafrost is critical. The thaw exposes not only ancient viruses, but also chemical and radioactive waste from the Cold War. While the Arctic's sparse population reduces the immediate odds of human exposure, the interconnectedness of our world means no risk is truly isolated. The key, as experts like Brigitte Evengard of Umeå University state, is proactive vigilance. Gaining knowledge about these lurking dangers is our only defense against a threat that has been waiting in the ice, patient and pristine, for tens of thousands of years. On a rain-swept afternoon, a grainy artifact from the 1980s surfaced online, igniting a firestorm of global speculation. The footage was introduced by Eddie Abbott, a veteran military intelligence analyst, who presented it with the grim authority of a man who has navigated the shadowy corridors of classified programs. He claims the video depicts a chilling reality: Soviet-era recovery teams unearthing a colossal, buried craft of such immense scale and sophistication that it defies any conventional understanding of Cold War technology. You know, sometimes a video comes across that you cannot believe just got released. Abbott states, his voice a low, controlled rumble. This video we're about to watch is from the 1980s, and it is Russian footage. They uncover a massive craft buried underground. This video is 100% legitimate. He speaks with the conviction of first-hand knowledge, asserting, "We had heard about things like this when I was in the military, knowing full well we have recovered giant craft like this ourselves. We heard that it was not just our country. It was all over." The footage itself is raw and cinematic, shot from multiple angles by crews documenting what appears to be a monumental, state-sanctioned recovery operation. The images reveal teams of workers, dwarfed by their task, operating heavy machinery within vast, shored-up excavations. At the heart of it all lies the object, an immense, structured craft so vast it makes the surrounding cranes and flatbeds look like toys. Abbott frames its scale in terms that resonate with visceral impact. The craft measures over 2 football fields in each direction. This is not just a measurement. It is a declaration of an engineering ambition and a manufacturing capability far beyond anything publicly acknowledged in that era. Abbott insists the recovery was a years-long endeavor, requiring specialized equipment and an extraordinary veil of secrecy. The final fate of the craft, he admits, remains a mystery. If the footage is genuine, the implications are staggering. The discovery of such an object in the Soviet Union would have required a mobilization of resources and interagency collaboration on a scale reserved for a nation's most critical secrets. It suggests our understanding of aerospace history is not just incomplete, but perhaps deliberately curated. Reactions have been immediate and polarized. For many, the footage is a long-awaited vindication, proof that global powers have indeed recovered and studied non-conventional craft. Veterans, engineers, and retired intelligence officers have weighed in with technical analyses of material stress points and excavation techniques, lending a sheen of credibility. They scrutinize the craft's angles, weld marks, and structural features, finding a sophistication irreconcilable with known projects of the time. Skeptics, however, raise valid counterpoints. The 1980s were a fertile period for state propaganda and sophisticated filmmaking. They point to potential lighting inconsistencies in the absence of corroborating documents or official admissions, arguing that the scientific method demands extraordinary evidence for such an extraordinary claim. Abbott anticipates this skepticism and meets it with the weight of personal experience. He recounts whispers from his service, stories from colleagues who have been present at similar recoveries, describing a tacit, international understanding that such discoveries were not confined to any single nation. For him, The footage is a rare breach in a wall of secrecy, a chance to force open a door that has been locked for decades. The cultural reaction has been revelatory. On social media, the clip exploded into a frenzy of digital archaeology. Users paused frames, annotated structural geometries, and debated potential propulsion systems. Mainstream media, initially cautious, began running measured pieces interviewing historians and analysts about the context of Cold War retrievals. The phenomenon has transcended mere curiosity, becoming a litmus test for institutional transparency. Citizens are now asking fundamental questions about a government's right to withhold discoveries of such magnitude. Beyond the debate over authenticity lie deeper ethical and strategic chasms. If the craft is of non-conventional origin, its study raises profound moral questions about safety and humanity's right to transformative knowledge. If it is a product of clandestine terrestrial engineering, the concerns shift the balance of global power and the perils of unaccountable technological advantage. Abbott's plea to the public is not merely to believe, but to engage, to rewind, to scrutinize, and to share. In his telling, the footage is more than a record. It is a catalyst for a necessary civic conversation. It is a provocation that forces questions into the public sphere about the limits of secrecy and the public's right to understand the forces that shape its future. Whether ultimately proven real or a masterful hoax, its most enduring effect may be the simple, unsettling reminder that our past holds astonishing secrets, and that an awakened appetite for truth is a force that rarely sleeps. In a stunning event that has captivated the world, a series of photographs have surfaced showing a luminous, unidentified flying object hovering in silent vigil above the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. The images, uploaded by multiple eyewitnesses, depict a brilliant, self-contained orb of light floating serenely over one of the most revered and contested religious sites on Earth. This incident has ignited a firestorm of discussion, with many questioning the object's nature, while others ponder profound spiritual or extraterrestrial implications. The Dome of the Rock is more than an architectural marvel. It is a spiritual epicenter. Situated on the Temple Mount, it is a sacred nexus for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, traditionally held as a site of the Prophet Muhammad's ascension to heaven. The appearance of a mysterious, glowing object in the Pacific sky has, therefore, amplified the intrigue exponentially, layering a modern mystery over ancient holiness. What distinguishes this sighting is the arresting clarity and consistency of the evidence. The photographs and accompanying video footage show a stark, bright white orb motionless and silent against the velvet darkness of the night sky. Captured from multiple vantage points by different individuals, the object maintained its position for several minutes before vanishing abruptly, leaving no trace. This level of coherent, multi-source documentation makes dismissal as a simple hoax or camera artifact significantly more difficult, presenting some of the most compelling visual evidence of unidentified aerial phenomena in recent years. The public reaction has been a predictable maelstrom of awe, fervent belief, and staunch skepticism. For many, the sighting is deeply symbolic, a divine sign or celestial message timed for a holy location. Others within the UFO research community see it as further proof of a long-standing pattern, that non-human intelligence displays a persistent interest in humanity's most sacred and historically significant sites. They posit that these visitors are not random tourists, but observers of our cultural and spiritual evolution. Skeptics, however, point to more terrestrial explanations. In an age of advanced drones and sophisticated lighting, the possibility of a man-made object or an elaborate prank cannot be ruled out. Yet, the sheer number of witnesses and the geographical consistency of the images present a formidable challenge to simple debunking. This event is not an isolated incident, but part of a rich tapestry of mysterious sightings over Jerusalem. The most famous prior event occurred in January 2011, when almost identical footage of a luminous object hovering above the same dome went viral, showing the object shooting upward at an impossible speed. Reports stretch back decades, suggesting that the skies over this ancient city are a recurring stage for the unexplained. This pattern invites a radical re-examination of history itself. For centuries, biblical accounts have been interpreted through a purely spiritual lens. But a growing number of researchers now pose a provocative question. Could some of these divine manifestations have been encounters with advanced, technological phenomena that ancient peoples lacked a vocabulary to describe? Nowhere is this theory more compellingly applied than to the vision of the prophet Ezekiel. Written around 600 BCE during the Babylonian exile, Ezekiel's account is a cornerstone of mystical literature. He describes a great whirlwind from the north, a colossal cloud wreathed in fire and lightning, from which emerged 4 living creatures with multiple faces and wings. Beneath them were wheels within wheels, full of eyes, moving in any direction without turning, all accompanied by a thunderous roar. Traditionally, this is interpreted as a profound divine revelation. Yet, through a modern lens, the description reads like a technical report on an encounter with a complex, mechanized craft. The great cloud with fire could be a propulsion signature. The living creatures might be interpreted as biomechanical entities or even occupants in suits. The wheels within wheels have been analyzed by some engineers as a possible description of gyroscopic landing gear or a complex, multi-directional propulsion system. This reinterpretation does not seek to dismantle faith, but to expand the context of these ancient experiences. If Ezekiel witnessed a technologically advanced vehicle, his interpretation of it as a divine chariot was the only framework his time and culture provided. The event remains miraculous and transformative, but its source becomes a subject of thrilling debate. The recent sighting over the Dome of the Rock, therefore, does more than just add another case file to ufology. It acts as a bridge, connecting our technologically aware present with mystically described past, forcing us to consider that the divine and the extraterrestrial may not be mutually exclusive concepts, but different languages describing the same breathtaking and still unfolding mystery. On the 14th of September, a digital firestorm erupted not just across China, but across the globe, a sudden conflagration of pixels and speculation. Social media feeds, from the tightly controlled ecosystems of Weibo to the open forums of Twitter, were flooded, overwhelmed by extraordinary footage emerging from the coastal cities of Shandong province. In the urban canyons of Weifang and the portside streets of Rizhao, the cell phones of ordinary citizens, commuters, night shift workers, students on balconies, were transformed from tools of daily life into accidental documentary instruments, capturing what appeared to be a dramatic, violent interception high in the vault of the night sky. A brilliant, terrifying aerial event unfolded in real time, leaving witnesses staring upwards, their faces illuminated not by the moon but by a mystery. To some analysts and cautious observers, it was a missile test, a calculated demonstration of power. But to countless others, their imagination set alight. It was a year's most electrifying mystery. A UFO, they swore with visceral certainty, had been tracked, targeted, and brought down by the unseen hand of Chinese air defense systems. The story of the sky-borne conflict, however, began not with bang, but with a silent, streaking question mark 2 nights earlier, on the 12th of September. Across a vast swath of eastern China, from rural hamlets to dense metropolitan centers, locals began reporting a singular, terrifying sight, a fireball-like object, a luminous anomaly of intense white and orange, tearing through the pre-dawn darkness at an impossible, stomach-churning speed. It moved with a purpose that felt neither random nor celestial. Its trajectory a stark, deliberate line scored across the heavens. Then, without warning, the silent pursuit ended in a cataclysm. The object erupted. A burst of light, so profound and intense it bleached the night into a stark, momentary daylight, flooded the world below. The flash was not a simple explosion. It was an annihilation of darkness, a silent scream of energy. This visual thunderclap was followed by its physical counterpart. 2 deep, concussive booms that rattled window panes, set off car alarms, and sent a tangible tremor to the very ground, a sensation that registered not just on the skin, but in the primal core of those who felt it. The sequence was textbook, yet utterly surreal. The high-speed pursuit, the blinding flash of impact, the delayed sonic evidence of a violent collision. Yet from the labyrinthine halls of official power in Beijing, there came only a deafening, unnerving silence. No emergency broadcast, no meteorological explanation, no military communique to classify the object or explain its violent end. The void where an answer should have became a vacuum, and nature, along with human nature, abhors a vacuum. By the 13th of September, that silence was broken, but the words often were a form of silence in themselves. The Emergency Management Bureau released a terse, almost dismissive statement, a masterpiece of bureaucratic negation claiming they had no information about any interception, any impact, or any significant celestial event. This official vacuum, however, only amplified the whirlwind of speculation, acting as a bellows to the flames of curiosity, especially as more videos, captured from dozens of different angles, began to surface online. The clips, often grainy and shaky with the adrenaline of the witnesses, nonetheless wove together a compelling, coherent narrative. A primary object, a steady streak of light, and then a second, faster streak rising from the ground or horizon, its path curving with intelligent, predatory intent, locking onto and striking the initial object midair in a perfect, terrifying intercept. The recordings revealed not a simple explosion, but complex disintegration, a blinding white flash, followed by a shower of smaller, glowing fragments streaking toward the earth like a shower of fallen, angry stars, tracing incandescent scars across the sky. To a growing chorus of analysts and citizens, this was no ordinary drill. The kinematics, the energy signature, and the public visibility all pointed to something far more significant. Momentum built to a fever pitch on the 14th, when the Taiwanese-based World Journal published first-hand accounts from Shandong residents, their voices crackling with a mixture of fear and awe, their descriptions vivid and unerringly consistent. According to them, the skies had held more than a simple test missile or a wayward rocket body. Some swore with unwavering conviction that the target was an unidentified flying object, a craft that moved with precision and grace unlike any known plane, drone, or satellite. They described flight characteristics that defied conventional physics. Sudden, right-angled turns without any apparent loss of momentum, silent hovering despite the immense speed suggested by its initial appearance, an ethereal, self-generated glow that pulsed with an unnatural rhythm. The sudden interception, they insisted, was no accident or test. It was a deliberate, calculated act of force to neutralize something that had trespassed, uninvited and unchallenged, into sovereign Chinese airspace. One man, a fisherman from the coastal town of Rizhao, recounted with chilling clarity how the craft seemed to pause its headlong flight, to pivot almost curiously, as if observing the landscape below, just as the interceptor, a needle of pure light, streaked toward it, culminating in the cataclysmic flash that tore the night in two. Others described the experience as surreal, a rupture in reality, as if the fabric of the sky had been torn open for a single, shocking instant, offering a glimpse into a hidden, high-stakes conflict before sealing shut, leaving behind only the ghost of the encounter and a rain of silent, burning debris. Yet, amidst the fervor for an otherworldly explanation, a formidable counter-narrative took root, championed by military analysts and strategic thinkers. They leaned toward more terrestrial, though no less impressive, explanation, an advanced, public-facing anti-missile test of unprecedented scale. Their theory, grounded in the grim realities of modern warfare, posited that the initial glowing object was a sophisticated target drone or a simulated warhead designed to mimic the unpredictable trajectory and high speed of an incoming hostile missile from a potential adversary. The second streak of light, they argued, was the interceptor, likely a sophisticated kinetic kill vehicle, a projectile that navigated itself to a flawless, hypervelocity impact with its target in a stunning display of terminal-phase defense technology. If true, this was not just a test. It was a statement. It signaled that China had demonstrated a remarkable leap in its missile defense capabilities, proving to the world, and particularly to its rivals, its ability to detect, track, and obliterate high-speed aerial threats with pinpoint accuracy in a live-fire scenario over its own populated areas. A bold and confident move. Some commentators, reading the geopolitical tea leaves, even suggested the test was intentionally conducted within public view, a silent yet potent demonstration of power meant for both domestic audiences to instill national pride, and for foreign observers to recalibrate their strategic calculations. The thunderous booms, the blinding flashes, and the cinematic falling fragments. Still, the stubborn, pervasive lack of official confirmation gave the more mysterious theory room to breathe, to grow, to mutate in the dark corners of the internet. Many could not simply dismiss the earnest, emotional claims of the eyewitnesses who insisted the craft, before its violent end, behaved in ways that defied the known laws of terrestrial physics. The descriptions of its ethereal, shifting glow, its impossibly abrupt changes in direction that would subject a human pilot to crushing G-forces, and a specific, deep-frequency tremor that shook the ground, a sensation often reported in close proximity UFO encounters, aligned perfectly with decades of global UFO lore. For these observers, the Shandong incident was nothing less than long-awaited, tangible proof. A non-human craft, a UFO of unknown origin, had been detected, pursued, and decisively destroyed, a modern-day Roswell, but with the entire event playing out on livestream. Fueling these beliefs were hushed, frantic whispers from the digital underground, anonymous accounts, claiming to be insiders or residents near military facilities, hinted that something extraordinary and deeply classified had occurred in the aftermath. Some claimed that in the hours following the event, long convoys of military trucks, accompanied by hazmat-suited personnel and specialized recovery vehicles, were seen speeding under the cover of darkness into remote, hilly regions where the debris was calculated to have fallen. Others reported that nearby villages were briefly, quietly placed under a soft lockdown, with internet service experiencing strange throttling and residents being advised by local officials to stay indoors after sunset as unusual area reconnaissance operations, using helicopters with specialized sensor arrays, crisscross the area. True or not, these stories, passed through encrypted channels and private forums, magnified the enigma, painting a picture of frantic, secretive recovery operation. Those leaning toward the UFO explanation also noted a critical inconsistency. While nations are often coy about weapons tests, large-scale missile tests, especially those that cause public alarm, are typically announced in advance via NOTAMs, notices of airmen, or at the very least, quietly acknowledged through defense ministry channels after the fact. The Emergency Management Bureau's outright refusal to confirm even the most basic details that something had happened made skeptics of the official narrative deeply suspicious. Why so forcefully deny what was witnessed by millions and recorded by hundreds? The only logical conclusion for them was that the truth was simply too controversial, too paradigm-shattering to reveal. Meanwhile, the proponent of missile test theory countered that such extreme secrecy is the standard, non-negotiable procedure for most advanced weapon systems. They noted that the specific tracking algorithms, the kill vehicle's propulsion and guidance secrets, and the full capabilities of an anti-missile defense system are among a nation's most guarded jewels, more protected than nuclear secrets in some cases. A government, they reasoned, would have zero incentive to offer a detailed commentary that might inadvertently reveal strategic advantages or technological vulnerabilities to watching rivals. The ambiguity, the silence, the flat denials, in this sense, were entirely intentional, a necessary component of the test itself, a strategic feint within a much larger game of geopolitical chess. Regardless of which theory one finds more compelling, the undeniable fact remains that hundreds of thousands, if not millions, have now seen the footage, debated its meaning in countless online threads, and drawn their own conclusions, cementing their beliefs. Social media has acted as both an archive and an accelerant, keeping the story burning white-hot for days, with hashtags related to the hashtag Shandong event and hashtag Chinese UFO trending globally. For many, it is already being compared to other famous, enigmatic incidents worldwide. The Phoenix Lights, the Rendlesham Forest incident, though with the added, explosive intrigue of direct, unambiguous military engagement. The videos have reignited a global fascination with the fundamental question of what, or who, is moving in the skies above us, and who is policing that frontier. If it was a missile intercept, it demonstrates a staggering, almost science fiction level of technological prowess in modern air defense, a shield becoming a sword. If it was something more, something truly unexplained and beyond our understanding, then it may represent one of the most significant and consequential encounters of our time, a moment where humanity was shown it is not alone, and that the skies are not as empty as we believed. The absolute, verifiable truth may never be fully revealed to the public, destined to remain locked in classified folders within the Zongnanhai compound. But the night of September 12th will be remembered, dissected, and mythologized as the moment the skies of Shandong province became a global stage for a mystery that captivated and divided the world. In a profound, echoing absence of an official explanation, the incident remains an open puzzle, a Rorschach test in the sky onto which we project our hopes, our fears, and our understanding of a universe. Whether extraterrestrial visitor, bleeding-edge technological demonstration, or a terrifying combination of both. It has shown once again how a single brilliant event in the night sky can shatter our comfortable understanding of reality. For the people of Shandong who watched in a mixture of awe and terror as their horizon silently erupted in a light that had no name, the experience was visceral and unforgettable. For the world, the footage stands as both tantalizing evidence and enduring enigma, a stark, luminous reminder that profound, unsettling mysteries still unfold in the air above us, silent, swift, and waiting to be explained. For the past several weeks, a single image, snatched from the video feed of NASA's Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, has ignited a firestorm across the digital landscape. It spread like wildfire on social media, most prominently on Facebook, shared and reshared thousands of times. The photograph presents a chilling vista, a vast, circular object positioned unerringly close to the sun's fiery surface. Its stark geometry, its perfect symmetry, set against the seemingly boundless blackness of space, has sparked a global frenzy of intrigue. Whispers and theories have proliferated, with many daring to speculate that this mysterious sphere is something not of our natural world. To the casual eye, it might be dismissed as a trick of the light, a ghost in the machine, a simple camera artifact. But for those who lean in, who study the pixels with forensic eye, the details whisper something far more profound. Based on its colossal scale against the sun, early estimates suggest a diameter measuring the thousands of miles, a staggering measurement that would dwarf our own planet and rival the largest orbs in our solar system. This fact alone has sent a ripple of astonishment through both the public and the scientific community. Consider the environment. The sun is an unforgiving inferno, a star with temperatures reaching millions of degrees, where radiation levels would obliterate any known material in an instant. For something to not only exist, but to endure so close to that hellish surface suggests a technology or a natural resilience far beyond anything humanity has yet achieved or even fully conceived. The object's geometry is the most arresting clue. Unlike the ragged, irregular forms of asteroids or comets, this sphere is a study in perfection, nearly flawless in its symmetry. Nature rarely produces such immaculate shapes without eons of geological process, and in a vacuum of space, even those forces are hard-pressed to create something so exact. It is for this reason that many analysts have dismissed the possibility of a random cosmic occurrence. Attention has instead turned toward a more provocative idea, the possibility of artificial origins. The notion that this could be an advanced spacecraft operating with impunity in the star's deadly embrace. One theory has captured the public imagination with particular force, that this object is a massive probe, a stellar collector, harvesting energy directly from the sun itself. This concept echoes the long-theorized Dyson sphere or smaller-scale energy harvesting structures that an advanced civilization might construct around a star. The possibility that an intelligent species could have engineered such a machine places this photograph squarely within the realm of one of humanity's oldest and most compelling questions. Are we alone? This idea gained traction thanks, in part, to a growing openness within the scientific community to explore unconventional explanations for bizarre space phenomena. Harvard professor Avi Loeb, a respected physicist and astronomer, has become a prominent voice in this new arena. His work in analyzing interstellar visitors has encouraged his peers to at least entertain the possibility that advanced technology from other civilizations may exist and occasionally be glimpsed in our skies. Professor Loeb argues that to dismiss such possibilities out of hand is a disservice to the pursuit of knowledge. By considering that advanced probes may pass through our solar system, we acknowledge that what we have done on a small scale, sending probes to Mars, Jupiter, and beyond, might well be happening elsewhere on a far grander, more breathtaking level. The viral spread of this single image underscores how deeply these ideas resonate. In an age saturated with space imagery, it is rare for one single frame to command such universal attention. Yet, this photograph has done precisely that. Across forums, groups, and media pages, a global conversation has erupted, debating the sphere's meaning, with a significant number concluding that the most plausible explanation is no ordinary astronomical event. The concept of intelligent control surfaces repeatedly, the object's stable position and unwavering shape seem to indicate purposeful design, not a fleeting cosmic coincidence. If this object were indeed a probe, an energy harvesting craft, the implications would be earth-shattering. It would mean that another civilization has not only achieved interstellar travel, but has mastered technologies allowing them to operate within stellar forges, enduring conditions that lie far beyond our current comprehension. Such an achievement would represent a level of advancement leaps and bounds ahead of our own. The idea that civilizations might dispatch probes for exploration or energy collection is not mere speculative fantasy. It mirrors our own first, tentative steps. Our own Voyager, Pioneer, and New Horizons probes have ventured into the deep, carrying instruments and messages into the void. If humanity has accomplished this with its limited resources and youthful technology, is it not possible that another civilization, perhaps millions of years our senior, has done the same on an unimaginably vaster scale? What makes this viral moment so significant is the powerful convergence of science, speculation, and raw imagination. Social media has become a digital agora where ordinary people engage with cosmic discoveries and theories once confined to academic journals. Here, the rapid sharing of this photograph has sparked a worldwide dialogue about extraterrestrial intelligence and technology we can scarcely dream of. This democratization of curiosity reveals a profound, innate human longing for connection with the wider universe, a deep-seated need to find answers to our most ancient questions about existence beyond our pale blue. For some, the image will always have a more mundane explanation, a photographic artifact, an anomaly in the data stream, or a rare but natural celestial phenomenon. Yet, for those willing to consider alternative explanations, the possibility of a massive, sun-harvesting probe remains intensely compelling. The very fact of its virality demonstrates that millions find the artificial explanation not just possible, but plausible, especially in light of the growing catalog of unusual astronomical observations in recent years. The sun itself, the life-giving star at the center of our system, plays a role in this fascination. It has always been an object of awe. To see an object of immense scale hovering near it, seemingly untouched by its destructive fury, strikes a chord deep within the human psyche. It evokes visions of great cosmic engines, of civilizations harnessing the power of stars, and of a universe teeming with intelligence far beyond our own. As the photograph continues its journey through the digital ether, the mystery only deepens. Was this a fleeting encounter with the extraordinary, captured by a NASA observatory in a moment of pure serendipity? Was it evidence of a technology that redefines our understanding of physics and engineering? Or was it, perhaps, a glimpse into a future that humanity itself may one day achieve, a future where we master the stars not as distant fires, but as engines for our own survival and exploration? Whatever the ultimate truth may be, the viral spread of this image demonstrates the unyielding power of wonder. It shows how a single photograph, a silent sphere suspended near a star, can ignite a global conversation, bridging the chasm between hard science and boundless speculation. Whether it proves to be an artifact, a natural event, or something far more profound, the mystery of the object near the sun has already achieved something remarkable. It has inspired millions to look upward, to question the limits of the possible, and to imagine that humanity's place in the cosmos may be far less solitary than we once believed. The void of space has called to us for centuries, a siren song of the unknown. There are powerful reasons why its exploration and mystery so captivate our collective imagination. Firstly, space is the final, vast, and largely unexplored frontier. It is the birthright of curious beings to venture into the darkness. With every new discovery about the cosmos, we gain fresh insights into the very origin of the universe and our own humble place within its grand tapestry. This knowledge, in turn, holds up a mirror, helping us to better understand our world and ourselves. And every so often, an image from the depths, captured by a NASA lens, leaves us not with answers, but with a deeper, more thrilling set of questions. Consider the mysterious aircraft glimpsed in the background of an Apollo 9 photograph. According to enthusiasts who dedicate themselves to investigating the unknown, during this pivotal NASA mission, a picture was taken that allegedly reveals a strange, unidentifiable object hanging in the void above the Earth. Those who have studied this peculiar phenomenon assert that the photo may very well be proof of advanced life forms visiting our world. The moment was captured during a critical practice run for the historic moon landings, where sharp-eyed observers have pointed out a small, black triangle that appears to be hovering silently among the clouds. This single image has since become a focal point for intense intrigue and fervent speculation among both dedicated researchers and casual observers. Apollo 9 was a manned space mission launched by NASA on March 3, 1969. Its primary objective was a crucial test of the lunar module in Earth's orbit, a final exam to ensure it was ready for the ultimate challenge on the moon. This was the first crewed flight of the spider-like lunar module, the culmination of years of feverish development. On board were 3 astronauts: Commander James McDivitt, Command Module Pilot David Scott, and Lunar Module Pilot Rusty Schweikart. For 10 days, they lived and worked in weightlessness, orbiting the Earth and executing a rigorous series of tests and experiments. A primary goal was to perfect the delicate dance of docking and separation between the command and lunar modules. The astronauts successfully separated the 2 craft and then docked them back together multiple times, a vital maneuver for the coming moon missions. They also performed a spacewalk to test the suits and tools that would be used on the lunar surface. And it is in the background of one of these historic photographs that the anomaly appears. A mysterious object, its form a distinct black triangle. Intriguingly, this is not an isolated report. Astronauts and military officials have reported seeing such aircraft on multiple occasions. Black triangles are a specific category of unidentified flying object witnessed by people across the globe. These objects are universally characterized by their distinct triangular shape and are most often described as moving in utter silence, or nearly so. While reports of such craft date back to the 1561 celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg, they gained significant and widespread attention during the 1980s and 1990s. One of the most famous and well-documented incidents occurred in Belgium, beginning in 1983. Over several months, thousands of witnesses, including police officers and military personnel, reported seeing a massive, low-flying triangular object. The sightings became so persistent that the Belgian military eventually scrambled F-16 fighter jets in an attempt to intercept the object, but it effortlessly evaded them. The Belgian government launched an official investigation, but was ultimately unable to provide any conventional explanation for what so many had seen. Similar accounts have emerged from the high frontier, with astronauts reporting advanced-looking aircraft witnessed over both the United States and the United Kingdom. In countless cases, witnesses insist the black triangles they observed were larger than any known aircraft and possessed the unnerving ability to hover motionless and silent in the sky. Theories about their origin span a wide spectrum, from experimental military aircraft to visitors from another world. Some researchers speculate these craft to be part of a secret military project, such as the long-rumored TR-3B, a supposed top-secret reconnaissance aircraft developed by the United States Air Force. Others suggest a more cosmic explanation, that the objects are advanced spacecraft, a technology so far beyond our understanding it seems like magic. Despite the volume of reports and numerous investigations, the true nature of the black triangles remains shrouded in mystery. The persistent lack of concrete evidence or any definitive explanation has fueled endless speculation about their origins. Some argue that the continuous, global nature of these sightings is a powerful indicator that we are not alone, and that other intelligent beings may be quietly monitoring our planet. For now, believers point to photographs like the one from Apollo 9 as tangible evidence for the existence of these enigmatic aircraft. The black triangles persist as one of the most fascinating and perplexing aerial phenomena, a riddle that continues to captivate and intrigue people across the world. Then there is the strange discovery on Mars. A photograph, recently posted to social media, has viewers fiercely debating its contents. Is it a feather or perhaps a leaf? Found impossibly on the barren surface of a red planet, the peculiar object was spotted within a gigapan image of Mars. These gigapan Mars photos are high-resolution vistas captured by the Mars rover missions and processed using a specialized imaging technique that stitches multiple shots together. The result is a seamless, panoramic image of extraordinary detail and clarity, allowing scientists and the public alike to explore the Martian landscape as if they were standing there. One of the most significant benefits of these gigapan photos is their ability to unlock the geological history of Mars. By meticulously examining these images, scientists can identify and study diverse rock formations, ancient craters, and other features, piecing together the processes that shape the planet. But they also offer a unique portal for public exploration, allowing anyone to zoom in and examine the texture of a rock or the curve of a dune in immersive detail. It was within one of these vast digital landscapes that a user, submitting the image to a group dedicated to investigating Martian anomalies, pointed out the strange formation. They noted it either resembled a leaf or spikes protruding from a rock, stating that it stuck out starkly against the familiar, rusty backdrop of Mars. This discovery feeds a growing belief among some that Mars is home to mysterious artifacts, with many pointing to objects that, to their eyes, do not look like natural formations at all.